We saw her out for a gallop yesterday. Today, the #1 rated female sprinter goes out for a work here at Santa Anita. Team Asmussen's Friday runners put in their workouts yesterday. Cue the works for the Saturday runners. And we'll take a look back to yesterday's workout from Game On Dude as the pursuit is back on.
Skywalker is still there, having a huge upset looming here, and they're coming down to the finish, and it is pleasantly perfect. Raven Pass and Frankie Dettori have won the class. Zenyatta, what a performance, one we'll never forget.
Brought to you by Fasig-Tipton, home of North America's first thoroughbred auction company. No one has a longer pedigree. And TwinSpires.com, featuring TwinSpires TV, TwinSpires Pro, and smartphone wagering with live video.
You're looking live at a sprinting machine. Groupie Doll, anticipated favorite for the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. She has rattled off 4 consecutive victories by a combined 20 lengths. Welcome, everyone. Richard Migliori, Gary Stevens. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. Gentlemen, take us through this work.
Well, this is what she does. She took her own sweet time, apparently, getting over to the pole, but she's just building up momentum. She jumped a shadow right there at the 5/16 pole, but this is where she does her best work.
Yeah, and it looks like that's what she does. She kind of builds into it, much like her races. The first 8 is for her, and then she gets in the bridle and picks up the pace, and she looks very efficient, very good, Gary.
She is just a powerhouse, Gary.
She is a machine. You said it, a sprinting machine and a pure racehorse. She's fun to watch, and this is how she finishes her races. She went off easy, and she finished up strong, and she's moving right now.
34 3/5 we're being told for Groupie Doll. That's from Mike Welsh. 34 3/5.
That's the beauty of this, is she looked like she went in about 37. She was being asked to do nothing. That's the type of work that you want to see leading into the Breeders' Cup.
You know, this time last year, by the way, welcome everyone to Santa Anita. Richard, Gary, I'm Lafitte. No female sprinter has ever won the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. Ventura was a second choice. Last year, it was all about turbulent descent. That race was a mess from her right from the start. For Groupie Doll on Saturday, how much of a standout is she? What does she have to guard against in order to avoid being upset?
I don't think she has to guard against anything. I think what she has to do is bring her last 3 races to the Breeders' Cup, and she won't get beat. But traffic is always a concern. It's a big field, and there's going to be horses backing up, and with her style. But the thing about her, I've said before, you can thread her through the eye of a needle, and she'll go wherever the jock wants. She's not afraid to go inside. She can definitely come outside, but she finishes better than anybody in all of her races.
And that's the luxury Rajiv Maharaj has, that she will run anywhere. He can, last start at Keeneland, he's stuck inside, wait, found a seam, gives that 8th when he needs it. She's very good. I think she's probably the most likely winner on that card.
Wow, of the 15 races. And Rajiv Maharaj, who won a Breeders' Cup race last year, that was in the Dirt Mile with Caleb's posse. All right, the remainder of today's works brought to you by Escandrea. Top half of the sheet is going to be today's works: Kaleidoscopio, Dustin Diamonds, Groupie Doll, who you just saw, Great Mills, Jay Cito for the marathon, Justin Phillip, and Steve Asmussen's Tapazar. Also, Unbridled's Note. Again, those were all today, the times and distances on the right. We'll revisit some of yesterday's works with Almudena. Bridgetown for the turf sprint. California flag. He's already won a turf sprint here at Santa Anita. Class included doubles partner FedBiz, Game On Dude, and Tale of a Champion. Speaking of Game On Dude, who drilled yesterday 7 furlongs in 125 flat. They say he's kicking down the barn, and of those pre-entered for the Breeders' Cup Classic, he will have his hands full with what we think will be a Bill Mott trio. But this is Game On Dude's track. He has never lost in 5 starts at Santa Anita.
He's enjoying himself right now. He's been a handful all week long. He came off the track yesterday after he worked like he hadn't done anything, Richie.
Yeah, and this is about as good as a horse could work. He went off in the bridle. Rafael Bejarano got him to settle enough off his workmate, and when he gave in to the horse's will, he just widened as easy as a horse can widen.
Yeah, and this is the beauty of this, is normally he's joined up with his workmate at this point in time. He's pulled the rider there in the past. Rafael's not letting him do it. He's making him wait until that final quarter of a mile in his last 3 workouts. And you can see Rafael, he's got his hands full right now. And when he gives him his head, just a tad here, when they straighten up, it's all over with.
How is it that he's still developing. Bob Baffert saying he's better now than he's ever been. As a 5-year-old, is this a racehorse that's just taken a long time to come around to his peak form?
Well, I think he's always been a happy horse. He's just figured it out. He's figured out where the running starts, where it ends, and he puts a lot into his workouts, a lot into his gallops. But he must have a great constitution because he carries his weight, he gets bigger, he gets stronger. He's a much bigger horse this year than he was last year.
Well, and let's be fair about it. Most of these horses don't get an opportunity to run when they're 5, so we don't see them develop into what they're going to be. I think he's a horse that just getting where he needs to be maturity-wise.
Game on due to 5-year-old. We do have some of those 3-year-olds taking on older horses, including the Travers winner. Of course, he had to split the winner's share, did Alpha, in a tie with Golden Ticket. Here is Alpha. This is today Alpha for trainer Kieran McLaughlin, and the first time, Gary, we've seen him on the track here at Santa Anita.
Yeah, and they traveled all day the night before last, got here, had a day off, first day to the racetrack. He's bouncing right now. He looks great. I'm sure that Kieran McLaughlin is happy that he got those horses out of New York when he did.
Yeah, I went by the barn yesterday morning. All the horses look good. They came in there in good order. Alpha, not a very big horse, not a very robust horse, but he looks like he's in good health.
Proven at 1.25 miles. Something tells me he's going to have to run faster than 2:02 3 to win a Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, here's the 7-year-old, Gary, who's already banked more than $1.2 million. Mark Cassie's Pool Play.
Yeah, and Pool Play's a horse that he's going to have to bring his A game 100%. He won the Hawthorne Gold Cup last time out by a half a length. He's faced some of the best, but nothing what he's going to be facing in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
That seems like it would be an upset of, I don't want to say Arkang-like proportions, but maybe a Valponi-like proportions if Pool Play could pull this thing off.
Well, the thing about Pool Play, though, is he runs better on conventional dirt, and he spent most of his life on synthetic. So he's going to get a surface that he favors. He's going to have to step his game up.
As we welcome in Scott Hazelton and Caton Bradar, and later on this afternoon, the draw, and Jeff Siegel, excuse me, will have the draw. And finally, all answers regarding the Breeders' Cup Classic, Ladies' Classic, and where exactly Royal Delta will be running.
Yeah, just having that conversation here with Mr. Siegel as I welcome him here to the Clocker's Corner desk. Jeff, what do you expect? Do you expect her to show up against the fillies or against the boys?
Royal Delta, I'd love to see her against the Colts. She'd make the Classic. It's a great race anyway, but she'd add some spice to it. But I don't have any indication that Bill Mott is going in that direction. But we got 8 hours maybe to try to change his mind a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get somebody over there to the barn and try to convince the Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott. Good luck. All right, let's take a look at the Ladies Classic pre-entries, which does include Royal Delta, last year's defending champion of this race. Horses like My Miss Aurelia, Questing for Godolphin. Is class included is in this race. This is her second preference, but she will run in here according to her trainer Jim Penny. Is she ready to shock the world, Jeff Siegel?
She thinks she is. I mean, she's won 6 out of 7 this year, and she seems to be doing well since arriving from the Pacific Northwest. She was in Hastings, before that up at Emerald Downs, and she's never really left that area. So she's trying new competition. She's in a new circuit, new weather, new everything. All I know is she's won 10 out of 16. She's coming off a series of terrific races up north. She's run out of competition there. Down here, though, this is culture shock. This is a whole different level of horse that she's going to have to be running with. But I can tell you one thing. She's going to give it everything she has. Daughter of Include, and she's got that great stalking style, so she'll be in the hunt at least until the real racing begins at the quarter pole.
This video you're seeing, it's her work yesterday. She worked in 47 flat. She worked last week in 101 3, so she's getting over the Santa Anita main track quite well, and she's trained by Jim Penny. He's a 24% win trainer, so he can get it done. Questing, we know what she's all about. Is she the fastest filly in this Ladies Classic, Jeff Siegel, at least early on?
Yeah, I think she probably will be going to the front. That seems to be her style, and you can see her as she just arrived, first time on the racetrack. And Questing, of course, who was beaten ahead in the cotillion by My Miss Aurelia while giving away 7 pounds, and also slowing down 25, 50, 114 and change. Her best weapon, I think, is her speed. Let her roll out of there and see how far she can carry that brilliant speed.
Part of the Kieran group that showed up luckily early with the weather that is hitting the East Coast. And we welcome in Caton Bradar for our Pursuit News Update, brought to you by Gainesway Farm. And Caton, I thought when we show up here for the Breeders' Cup on the West Coast, we're not supposed to worry about weather.
Yeah, Scott, it may never rain in California, but weather remains the great game changer. And in this case, a lot of trainers having to change and make last-minute travel arrangements for those trainers who have gotten here already. They must feel like they've already won the game. And our Gainesway News update finds horses that did arrive yesterday, including Dwayne Lucas's horses. Mike Stidham's Wilcox Inn also settling in nicely, along with several others. They stayed in the barn this morning, taking an easy day. Meanwhile, others who arrived yesterday, like Mike Maker's Joha, they hit the track, stretched their legs just a little bit. Dale Romans, meanwhile, switching gears, making some important decisions for both Little Mike and Dullahan. In a word, turf.
Out here planning on running Little Mike in the mile. You know, it's shaping up to be the toughest race in the card, I believe, and the way he's doing, he's training so well, we decided to go ahead and give him a chance to get the mile and a half. A little different pace scenario, should be a little easier on him.
And Dullahan?
Dullahan, we decided on the turf. Of course, we were in a tough spot. We couldn't really decide either way which way to go. He hasn't done very well on the dirt, and you know, the turf's a mile and a half, but after looking at everything, his better races have been on the grass.
Now, some empty stalls on the backside, all bedded down, ready and waiting for Bill Mott's horses, also Chad Brown's horses, and some others on an all-important plane from New York and Kentucky that actually touched ground at Ontario Airport about 7 o'clock this morning. Those horses, including Royal Delta, due in any minute here to Santa Anita, and they're all trying to dodge this, the biggest storm the East Coast has ever seen. This is forcing many trainers, including Todd Pletcher, to make abrupt changes in terms of their travel. That last load of horses from New York as well as Kentucky, that includes Fort Larned in Kentucky, will not arrive, at least on Tuesday, as was originally planned. At this point, Todd Pletcher saying Wednesday, but depending on the weather, it could be as late as Thursday. Many trainers as well having to scramble to figure out how they're going to get themselves physically out here. One trainer who won't be here, though, Lafitte, is Wesley Ward, and it's not because of the weather. It's actually because his son is competing in a championship track meet, and he said he wouldn't miss it for the world.
Oh, well, best of luck to Wesley and his son, and our thoughts with everyone in the path of this Frankenstorm that is just going to be clobbering the East Coast and certainly making things complicated for those trainers trying to get their Breeders' Cup horses out here in time for Friday and Saturday. Caton, thanks so much. When we return, well, Bob Baffert has a colt named Fed Biz. He's 3 for 3 on dirt, going a mile. So figures he'd be in the dirt mile and figures to be a major contender. Bob Baffert with 12 horses for this year's Breeders' Cup. We'll be right back.